welcome back to the channel. Today, we've got a chilling tale that's going to make you think twice about that dusty old tech you've got stashed in your attic. This isn't your typical ghost story, it's a dive into the unsettling intersection of nostalgia and the unknown, a story about a vintage computer that's anything but harmless. Imagine this, you're starting fresh at college, ready to embrace the excitement of a new chapter. You stumble upon a retro computer at a thrift store, a relic from the 90s, and it sparks that warm, fuzzy feeling of nostalgia. But what if that nostalgia turned into something sinister? What if that old machine wasn't just a piece of outdated technology, but a gateway to something else? That's exactly what happened to our protagonist. What started as a fun, retro project quickly devolved into a terrifying ordeal. This isn't just a story about a haunted computer, it's a story about how curiosity can lead us down dark paths, and how some things are better left undisturbed. We're going to explore the creeping dread, the psychological torment, and the sheer terror of confronting something you can't explain. So, buckle up, turn off the lights, and let's dive into the story of My Demonic Computer. The first week of classes at Crestview University had left me with an exhilarating mix of anxiety and excitement. It was a fresh start, and I was determined to make this semester perfect, until I stumbled upon the peculiar vintage computer at the thrift shop down the street. It was old, probably from the early 90s, its casing scratched and faded, yet something about it captivated me. The charm of nostalgia, the store owner had said. Though I was fully aware of my roommate Jenna's warnings about haunted tech, the moment I laid hands on the retro keyboard, I felt an unexpected connection. Perhaps I was drawn to it because I had always loved retro gadgets, or maybe it was the allure of the mysterious, it didn't matter. After haggling for a decent price, I took it home, eager to revive it. As I opened the dusty machine in my tiny dorm room, I noticed that it fired up without any issues. The monitor flashed to life, flickering green text that reminded me of my childhood computer games. It felt like I had unlocked a portal to a long-forgotten past. I giggled, letting the warmth of nostalgia wash over me. But then, the text on the screen morphed, it began to scroll on its own. I am here, it typed furiously, its letters appearing one after the other ominously. I squinted, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. Surely this was just a glitch. I slapped the machine and watched in horror as it responded, "Ugly girl. You shouldn't have brought me back." I jumped, my heart racing. Had I imagined that? No, I clearly saw the words. Fear prickled my skin, and I felt an urge to shut it down. But curiosity, mixed with stubbornness, kept me glued to the chair. I had always been a horror nerd, loving the thrill of watching scary movies and reading spine-chilling novels. Wasn't it silly to be afraid of a computer? It couldn't really be possessed, right? Well, if you have something to say, let's hear it, I typed back, trying to sound brave. Your dreams are worthless. You'll fail, the computer yelled. The monitor shook, and just like that, I felt a chill pass through my bones. What the hell? I gasped, my heart racing. I glanced over at Jenna, but she was too engrossed in her books to notice my sudden panic. I scowled at the screen, this was obviously some prank, right? But who could have programmed a computer to yell insults? I felt a tremor flicker through me, a cruel reality sinking in, there was something fundamentally wrong with this machine. Days passed, and I tried to ignore the vile comments. I focused on my new university life, keeping the vintage computer tucked away on my desk, watching it gather dust. My new laptop became my lifeline for schoolwork and connecting with friends, but the taunts from the old machine lingered in the recesses of my mind like a dark shadow. Finally, on a restless Friday night, curiosity got the better of me. I knew I shouldn't, but I found myself switching on the old computer once more, defiant against its cruel words. I can take whatever you throw at me, I typed bravely. Your grades will plummet. You are nothing. The machine blared as if it had been waiting for me. I laughed nervously, trying to dismiss the growing unease in my stomach. You're just a stupid piece of junk, I shot back. Stupid? Oh, dear, it typed mockingly, that will be your fate sooner than you think. A sudden chill filled the room. I could feel a shadow crawling over the walls, and the air thickened with a noxious tension. I hesitated, fingers hovering above the keyboard, as if warning bells rang out in the depths of my mind. Maybe I'd gone too far in provoking whatever entity dwelled within this cursed relic. When the darkness finally surged, I yanked the power cord and threw the machine against the wall. I expected the screen to crack, to shatter the presence that tormented me, but it didn't. The machine remained silent, barely dented, mocking my feeble attempt to rid myself of it. From that moment on, sleep eluded me. My once vibrant world dulled, and whispers followed me everywhere. Sneers and jeers from the wretched machine haunted me like a specter. My confidence crumbled as assignments piled up. My grades started plummeting, just as it had promised. And I could swear, each time I opened my laptop to work on my essays, I would catch the same mocking glow from the vintage computer in the corner. Friends began to notice. Jenna would ask, "Are you okay? You seem different." I dismissed her concerns, concealing the tyrant lurking just a few feet away. After all, how could I explain the computer was ruining my life? It was absurd, even to me. Desperate, I turned to the internet. Researching paranormal occurrences and cursed objects, I stumbled upon a forum discussing haunted technology. One user had suggested performing an exorcism of sorts by cleansing the space, using sage and quick prayers. I felt a mixture of skepticism and hope. Perhaps I could rid myself of this evil once and for all. That Saturday, armed with a bundle of sage and a few friends from a study group I'd grudgingly recruited, I set up camp in my dorm room. Jenna watched in disbelief as we lit the sage, chanting weak prayers, the thick smoke sweeping over the vintage computer sitting tamely in the corner. "Be gone, foul spirit," one of my friends shouted, holding the sage like a sword, and for a moment, it felt as though the very air in the room had shifted. The light flickered, the screen glowed menacingly, and suddenly, a deafening screech erupted from the computer, cutting through the smoke like a knife. "You cannot escape me," it roared, the keyboard shaking violently as if it tried to free itself from the dark entity that then forced its way into our world. Hearts raced, shivers chased down our spines as the old relic began to rattle in place with primordial fury. We fled the room, our screams echoing down the hall, leaving the vintage computer to its torment. Somehow, I understood that whatever power it held was too dark to confront. It was a gamble I couldn't win. I never looked back. A week passed before I felt brave enough to return, a week spent in a fog of fear and denial. When I did, I discovered the computer had been abandoned, sitting in a corner like a sad relic, silent and harmless. Jenna flashed me a look that questioned my sanity. Maybe I had never deserved to play with fire, perhaps I wasn't meant to bring back things from the past. With that lesson ingrained in my heart, I prided myself on my new laptop, shaking off the remnants of the past. I had survived a torment that some might have deemed a prank. It taught me never to tempt the unknown. And, in retrospect, isn't that what college was really about? Finding my footing in a world buzzing with the wild and unknown? The quiet darkness of that old machine still hung in my mind like smoke, a reminder of where nightmares could stem from if I dared to forget the balance between curiosity and safety. Though Crestview University was notorious for its ghost stories, my horror would remain buried, hidden under the memory of a cursed vintage computer I never should have resurrected. Alright, folks, that was a wild ride, wasn't it? Let's take a second to unpack what just happened. So, We followed our protagonist as they stumbled upon this seemingly innocent, vintage computer. What started as a nostalgic trip quickly spiraled into a full-blown paranormal nightmare. We saw how curiosity, mixed with a little bit of hubris, can lead us down some pretty dark paths. The real takeaway here isn't just about haunted tech, though. It's about the power of the unknown. We often think we can control or understand everything, especially in a world where technology is so ingrained in our lives. But this story reminds us that there are forces out there, whether supernatural or simply psychological, that can mess with our heads in ways we can't predict. Think about it, this computer didn't just scare our protagonist, it systematically undermined their confidence, their grades, their entire sense of self. It exploited their vulnerabilities. It's a metaphor, really, for any negative influence that can creep into our lives, whether it's toxic relationships, self-doubt, or even just the constant barrage of negativity we see online. The protagonist's attempt at an exorcism, while dramatic, ultimately failed. It showed us that sometimes, we can't just fight these things head-on. Sometimes, the best thing to do is walk away. To recognize when something is too toxic, too damaging, and to prioritize our own well-being. And let's be real, college, or any new chapter in life, is about figuring out those boundaries. It's about learning when to explore and when to protect ourselves. It's about finding that balance between curiosity and caution. So, the next time you're drawn to something mysterious, something that sparks that little thrill of the unknown, remember this story. Remember the vintage computer, and remember that some doors are best left unopened. Stay safe out there, and don't bring home any haunted tech. You never know what might be lurking in those old circuit boards. Hey, horror fans. If you enjoyed our chilling tale and want to keep the spine-tingling stories coming, don't forget to hit that like button. Your support keeps the darkness alive. Share this video with your friends, let's spread the fear together. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, so you never miss a hair-raising moment. Join our community of thrill seekers and prepare for more eerie adventures. Thanks for watching, and remember, stay scared.